What is it with you? What do you got, a death wish or something?
That's what it takes. I just want to race.
All right, Diesel heads, it's episode 35 of the Chronicles of Diesel, the only show that covers everything Vin Diesel, his movies, his games, his music. At some point, he had 2 singles and nothing came of that. My name is Ethan, and with me here to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is Devin.
I am Groot.
That's true. That's true.
Summer of Groot is still going.
Well,
a year later.
Yes.
For us.
The show has, up until like the December area, have all been catching up, and we are now caught up. We're actually watching Vin Diesel stuff.
We've
as
had
it
a couple
happens.
months off for the first time in since the pandemic really started.
Yeah, we said goodbye a few months ago, and I was like, now we're back, and they're almost back to back. So like, you're getting another one of these in 2 weeks. Like you're gonna skip a week, and then you'll have us again for Fast X. But yes, we watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Releases as of this recording tomorrow on the 5th, but it's today.
And then
I watched mine at 3:30.
I think it was out in. Wasn't out in Asia? I think like a week
I
before.
don't
It's
know.
always how it goes, or Europe.
Yeah,
but
but some movies like they show really late in some regions. Like Sonic 2 was April of last year. Japan saw it in the summertime. That's how crazy that was.
It must be just like they look at the movies that are coming out and they're like, hey, if we can wait to push this back, let's do it.
Maybe it's one of those things where like the dubbing process they do after the fact. You know what I mean?
I know most Marvel movies come out, I know, in Europe beforehand, because
Really?
I always get messages from my cousins in Germany being like, this Marvel movie was good. And I'm like, I keep forgetting y'all have like a week earlier. I don't know why they do that.
Huh.
You think it'd be the other way around because, America
we're
first.
America. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. All the companies are American. Huh. Well, we saw the movie.
We did.
We're going to do our news segment here, VNN, but I just wanted to reiterate that our plan for the show going forward, if you're new to the show, perhaps you are.
First
this
episode.
Is the first,
could be
this
the
is the
first
first
episode.
thing of consequence that we are reviewing when it is still new. So perhaps you are, new to the show. We review everything Vin Diesel chronologically. We have caught up. We have done 34 episodes with 4 special episodes. Some of them you could probably skip because they're reviews of movies that we ended up then also covering.
Re-reviewing.
Yeah, essentially.
Like a year or two afterwards.
Yeah. Where it was like, F9
Bloodshot being the biggest culprit.
By the way, looking back at old Sonic Movie Show episodes, our other podcasts, we have back-to-back 2 episodes. One's titled Didn't See Bloodshot. Second one was titled Can't See Bloodshot. Because the pandemic started. That's our pandemic episode, was Can't See This Movie. That sucks.
We should go back at some point, like for a stream or something, and just listen to that one just to see, like, because I don't remember if we said like, yeah, it'll be interesting how this summer goes. Like,
I know my take was Black Widow's going to open up in the summertime. They're basically going to open up just a little bit too early, but they're going to be the only movie in town, and people are going to be okay. I remember thinking that.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. The effects are still lingering, but it definitely took a couple years for it to die down. You know what I mean?
Right.
But on this show, we review everything Vin Diesel. We've gone through all of his movies, his video games, and while we didn't do an episode in particular about the couple singles he's had on Spotify and Apple Music and whatnot, eventually, if he does an album, we'll do an episode on the album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've talked about them
party.
in the news. And every episode has a main topic, which is the movie or game or whatever. Sometimes we have them doubled up, but we probably won't ever do that again unless multiple projects come out in the same week. Because otherwise we can just...
I mean, this is the closest we're going to get probably with Fast X being in 2 weeks. So
I mean, maybe one of the video games, like Arc 2, comes out, something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah. Before we talk about our today's topic, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and his Groot role in it. We're going to talk about essentially catching up with some recent Vin Diesel news. So why don't you hit me, Devin?
Yeah, so as Ethan said at the top there, if this is your first time watching a Chronicles of Diesel episode, I don't know if we did it right at the beginning. I think it just kind of happened naturally. Where we're like, hey, we need something to like cover like what is Vin Diesel doing right now in the present. So when we did this monthly, I always would recap the last month. But since our last episode was all the way back in December, but we recorded it end of November, right? Or was it end of December? Whatever. But it's been 3 or 4 months. But
yeah.
So I'm not gonna sit here and recap because also on this segment, like I usually just go straight to the source, Vin Diesel himself, going on his Instagram, and he sometimes his videos straight to the fans and whatnot.
Right.
We've gotten like live updates to Beef Watch between him and The Rock on there. We've gotten set behind the scenes set footage and whatnot of the Fast and Furious movies on there. So I'm not going to break down every single one or whatnot. When we did this every month, I would sometimes do that because he had just for the record, he had 22 posts in April, which is a lot.
Oh wow! Usually has like 4.
Yeah. I think the last couple months it's been 13. Yeah, 13, 13, 9,
wow.
Then 22.
Well, he has a pair of movies coming, to promote.
Right.
I get it.
I think when he's working on movies, it dies down a little bit because he's on set. He's part of the grind set. No phones, but the phone in the locker.
I mean, maybe it's just the Beef Wash aspect of it all, and there has to be, a red versus blue, a light versus darkness thing. I don't see him as a grind set dude at all.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the Rock is definitely much more the grind set and like fully believes in that. And not saying that Vin Diesel doesn't work hard, because I think that's what people always think of it as a black and white thing, where they're like, either you're a grind set or you're lazy. It's like, right. Actually, you could just work hard and be passionate about the things you like, but don't kill yourself doing it.
Exactly.
Anyways, so yeah, I'm not gonna break down everything, but because most of his videos were just either announcing the new Fast X teasers here and there. There's some behind the scenes stuff. Then so in April, 22 posts, but some of the notable ones were picture of him on Jimmy Kimmel. So I went and watched the video. It's on YouTube if you Google it. He went on Jimmy Kimmel, but he was on something called, I guess Jimmy Kimmel has a segment. I've never watched Jimmy Kimmel's. I don't really know the segments or how new or old any of these segments are. But there's a segment called Guillermo's Show, and he has another guy on there named Guillermo, and he has his own little bits and stuff, and it was it wasn't too bad. It was kind of funny in terms of talk shows, late night talk shows go. So yeah, Vin Diesel came out on a bike, and there was a clown that took it away. It's very random.
Like the same bike moped thing, the Korean thing.
No, it is not. No, it's not. Unfortunately, and Vin Diesel calls his daughter up, Pauline, from the crowd. She was like in the front.
Okay.
So she came up on stage there, and he asked him some questions. There's a little bit of I don't know if it was scripted or kind of loosely maybe scripted bits, but then eventually Vin Diesel gives away tickets to everyone in the show, and then he comes to Jimmy Kimmel, and then they talk real quick, and gave everyone tickets to the Guardians premiere.
Okay.
But yeah, then there was another there's a video of him on the red carpet with the Guardians cast, including like the main people, so it wasn't like by himself. He was like showing them the video.
Which I don't think happened for Guardians 2 or the Avengers or anything like that. I think he wasn't like on those, because I remember having to find photos for like backgrounds or whatever, and seeing red carpets or something, and he wasn't there. I don't know.
Maybe in the Avengers or whatnot. You have how many freaking people? So maybe he was there. He just wasn't the main attraction, so to speak, for paparazzi. But yeah, that was cool. And then there was a video. So if you've watched all the Chronicles of Diesel episodes or watched all his movies, whatever, we know he's good friends with Sir Michael Caine.
Right.
We're fans of Sir Michael Caine. But he was at a dinner with him recently. And, Vin Diesel's giving him his flowers, telling him how great he is. Then Vin Diesel gives him a little kiss on the side of the head. Then Sir Michael Caine says some nice things and kisses him as well. And I'm like,
that's funny.
Hell yeah. You love to see it. You should always kiss your bros, you know?
Still waiting for mine.
Yeah, I mean, next time I see you on the lips. And then there was one of today, which is, I think this is cool because I've been getting into Formula One this year. So he was like behind the scenes, like at Formula One. And they're doing their second ever race in Miami, Florida, this weekend. So he was there, like talking to some of the drivers, and he actually met the drivers of Alpine, which is my, I guess, team that I've picked for this season. They've been not doing very good to start. Classic. They've crashed into each other. They've had engine issues. So I'm hoping the Vin Diesel luck or the Fast and Furious energy, you know, after they talk to him, maybe they can win a race or two. But yeah, he did a little video, and then I retweeted it with our Twitter account at Sonic Movie Show. Just like the picture of him and meeting some of the drivers. Then there was a iHollywood TV interview.
I saw that.
Which, and I don't know if people, I know some people were kind of like, I don't want to watch spoilers or watch trailers because of spoilers and whatnot. So if you're maybe like, don't want any information on Fast X.
And it's around the corner, you know?
Yeah. So if you don't, I get it. So maybe skip the next minute. But I know I've been trying to avoid spoilers, but also since it's part of my job as a VNN reporter to bring the news to you. But in this interview, they just kind of talk about like, they interview Vin Diesel and Jason Momoa, who plays Dante specifically. But they quickly mention that like this movie is going to end on a cliffhanger in some way.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. I mean, we can guess what it is, but whether it's a character dying or maybe the planet gets cut in half. I don't know what level of like, you know what I mean? Like what it could be. I don't know if it's a Thanos situation where people are getting snapped away.
That would be funny if that is the plot device of the movie is Jason Momoa erases half of people's existence.
They just straight up copy it. So I think that's interesting. And then he says in it that it's a two-parter. Because a lot of, like, it's weird, the media has been saying, like the more general media has been saying Fast 10, and then this director's going to do Fast 11. When we've always thought of it as, like, it's going to be part 1 and part 2. But in the marketing, it hasn't really been that. But then he says in the interview, part 1...
Right.
This is going to be multiple parts. So
he says at the end of the video, he says... This is the beginning of the end of the road. The end of the road is beginning. Yeah, well, you're right. Like, the marketing has just called it Fast X, Fast 10,
just
however you want to pronounce it. When they first announced after F9 that there is going to be another movie, they announced it was 2 parts. And I'm pretty sure that was the only statement alluding to there being 2 movies that are connected as a part 1 and part 2. Since
maybe the marketing, they won't be part 1, part 2, but like obviously if you follow the story,
it's in vogue, so I don't see why people would be like, oh, I don't trust it. Like Mission Impossible's doing it. I think the Hunger Games did it. Fucking Harry Potter did it. Fucking Twilight did it. It feels like Star Wars did that, even though they didn't. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, I guess if it's going to be directly connected, it's like a general one storyline, I guess. Because I guess you could argue that all the other movies, I guess, aren't like direct where, like, you know what I mean, it doesn't end on a cliffhanger where you're like, oh, what's next? Like, there's always an ending,
right? Yeah,
to the other Fast movies, to agree.
Maybe the cliffhanger is it's a completely happy like end scenario, but you're like, but there's another movie, what's gonna happen? And that's your cliffhanger because you don't know, you know.
Then they also mentioned in it too that at least Jason Momoa mentioned that his first scene that he shoots is with Charlie Theron with Cypher there. So
yeah, and I feel like they showed part of that scene too.
Yeah, so I guess they do meet, because I know we were talking about that when we did our interview or our review of the trailer, that first teaser there.
Right.
About like how are they connected, if they are connected at all. I'm assuming they are. Maybe, you know, Cypher is manipulating him in some way. But it seems that at least they were going to meet right in the beginning. So it sounds like it'd be classic Fast and Furious, where they're going to show the villains doing something and then go from there. Then there was another thing that I didn't really look into because I wanted to, I guess, avoid maybe further information, because I know this movie might have been out think, like I said, like in Western with Guardians. I don't know if it's been out already, but our friend David, our one and only guest that we've had on this show,
not this show.
He like said, and I don't know if it was a meme or whatnot, but that they said that like supposedly the Rock's character gets killed off in some way. So if that happens, one, I'm gonna be really disappointed.
That's
unless it's really fucking funny. Unless it's really funny, like just like a missile hits his house, like just like stupid. Like if it's just
or like
super
Triple X
dumb.
Return of Xander Cage with oh my god, I almost called him Nicholas Fury. That's a Marvel poisoned I am.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson being hit by a satellite. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
It's like that level. Yeah, it has to be that level to me where I would be like, okay, whatever, that's funny. But if like the way I can see it being is just a throwaway line, then that'd be real shitty. I just hope they.
I didn't even click on that link because I didn't want any spoilers.
I didn't. But just
assuming
I just wanted to throw it out there that we saw it.
Right.
And
assuming that is true. I mean, Jason Statham's in this movie in Fast X. You know what I mean? And The Rock isn't. You know what I mean? Hobbs isn't in the movie, and like they're supposed to be paired up. But yeah, granted, the end of Hobbs and Shaw, I rewatched that a month or two ago, and they are like not exactly like teaming up. Like he said, like they're against each other. Like Hobbs sets Shaw up to go to prison again. So it's not like they're, going on missions together necessarily. But if that's why he's in this movie, or if it's because his buddy's dead.
Well, I think him and Han are teaming up, and that'll be,
the
duo.
We'll see in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I feel like you just, if I was them, I'd just be like, don't mention him at all.
Which is what they did in F9. They
just let it go.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the trailer was at my Guardians showing.
I don't think.
Oh, actually, can I tell a quick theater? I always have a theater story when I last couple times, whether it's a guy yelling spoilers in a movie, like the movie I'm about to see. I'm using the bathroom. Literally walks in and yells, "Well," and then says the spoiler, and I'm like,
Bruh.
"Really?" Yeah. Then there was so today. What I always do is when I get to the theater, I immediately go to the bathroom. Just
smart.
Don't
get your popcorn first, because it sucks if no one can carry it for you. Then you're kind of fucked. You have to hold it.
So that's what I do now. Is when everyone walk in, they like scan my ticket. I go to the bathroom. And I was like, okay, no freaking dude yelling spoilers.
You went and you bought earplugs before.
Yeah.
Beforehand.
But no, this is some people don't wash their hands. I don't know if this is a women thing, but for men, a lot of men, I feel like in public bathrooms, it's like 50-50 of men washing their hands. At least for me, I've noticed. I've noticed these things. I always wash my hands. I scrub a dub, do the all that,
Sure.
And then there was a guy who I don't know what side he's on, because he used the urinal, and I'm washing my hands, and he does a drive-by. Just water, just a quick, not even a second, gone. And I'm like, why even wash them all? Now you're just getting like dirty water all over your hand, like you're
right,
or you have the dirtiness on your hands, the germs.
Now, was he there?
Put a little bit of water.
You walked in already, or did you see him walk into the restroom?
So when you walk in, it's the sinks and then all the urinals. So he had it like he was where the urinals were. So I'm assuming he used the urinal. And then he just went.
Maybe he saw The Shape of Water and was like, "Ooh, the bad guy in that movie washes his hand before taking a piss, and he doesn't wash afterwards."
No,
so
he walked out.
He's gonna be.
There's only one way in, so like he walked out.
Weird.
It's just the funniest thing. It was like a second. He was like, shh, shh, and walked away. And I'm like, now you have just like dirty water dripping off your hands, and you're probably spraying it everywhere. You fucking nerd. I was like, just don't even wash them at that point. If you're already committed to not caring,
also, like, is that man gonna eat some popcorn? Or he probably just wiped it on his pants or whatever. To be fair,
right?
Like, he's got one wet hand. I
just thought it was so funny. I'm like, pick a side, man. Pick a side.
For me, I texted you because I saw the movie several hours before you did, because it was 3:30 showing for me.
That's
they had
a crazy early showing.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. And I had people that are like, but it says it first showed like the opening's on the 5th. It's it's Friday, and I'm like, you can see them a day early. Like, watch if I go on the AMC app right now, you can see it at 3:30.
You can always see them Thursday.
Yeah,
usually.
yeah. But I bought my ticket ahead of time, and you pick your seat. Cool. And I saw a bunch of the core seats were taken on the showing, and I checked because there was like every 15 minutes for like the first 4 showings they were apart. So like do I check 3:45, 4 o'clock, etc. And I went with 3:30 anyway. But I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pick this seat. I'm gonna be flanked by people, but whatever. Forgetting that this theater that I haven't gone to in years because I moved back to New York. That's why I'm in a different spot right now.
Green Hills.
I'm in Green Hills. That's why this is a temporary spot right now. But I forgot like how that theater is set up, and it's actually pretty wide and open, and I kind of love it. But I go there, and I'm like, there's like barely anyone in this theater. Most of the seats were taken. This doesn't make any damn sense. There's people in front of me. There's people in my row, but not next to me. And then, like, right before the movie comes in, 3 people come in, 2 sit on one side of me, the other person sits on the other side. I'm like, this guy picked the wrong seat, and I'm not, like, in the middle of them. They didn't talk or anything like that. I'm like, whatever. I was kind of looking forward to just keeping my popcorn on on an empty seat, but I guess I won't now. And then this motherfucker, he's, like, lounging. He's got his knee up, and, like, I don't care, but his feet are just constantly like shaking around and bouncing, and then the motherfucker pulls his phone out to look at Instagram. Like, yes, you follow a lot of women on Instagram, dude. I know.
That addiction kicked in, dude.
In the middle of the movie,
the autopilot kicked in real hard, and just
a guy in front of me. And now, granted, he was like his phone, because he had his phone out, was like maybe 9 feet away from me. He's checking the MLB app in the middle of the movie.
Hey.
Is there a game
That's so
going
funny.
on right now?
There's always games, which is funny. Like, there'll be games going on until October. You know what I mean? So, like, trust me, you're not weird. Like this one game.
Baseball. It was very weird.
You're not like, if you miss this one, don't worry. There's a game tomorrow. That's like my favorite part about baseball. I'm like, hey, I didn't watch this one. There is 10 more games in a row.
Yeah,
I'll find one, to watch. Yeah.
Baseball finds a way, as Jeff Goldblum once said.
But no,
I'm seeing the movie again in a couple days with some other people, so like whatever.
Gotcha.
The experience wasn't ruined for me, but I'm like, dude, it's 2023.
That's why I said
there's someone sitting right next to you. Ugh.
I've been sitting in the front.
Really?
Like, we sit in C row, which you'd think would be close, but it's like just close enough where you can lean back, so it's fine. But it's like there's only one extra row in front of us.
Interesting.
And it's like there's a big wall, so you can't even see them. So like if they are on their phones, I don't see shit.
This
and
AMC
and then if there's anyone else on their phones, I don't. So yeah,
this AMC is completely wheelchair accessible, which I think is a positive. Where like each of the rows are very wide, like you can have your feet reclined all the way up, and people can walk in front no problem, which is nice.
Are there people out there who think it's a negative though?
I don't know, but I don't see it coming at the cost of something else, is I guess my point. You know what I mean? Like there's no reason not to. But you don't have that, like we're theater politics here. Like what you were talking about before felt like a boom drop because there's that wall behind each seat.
Yeah, basically.
This is not the case. This is pretty level. Just think like each of those super wide rows is a single stair step below the next. So like really big stairs is what each row is. So like it's essentially flat. You know what I mean? Like sure, I am probably 2 feet up above the front row. You know what I mean? But like it's it's pretty flat at that rate. So you can see anyone that's on their damn phone. And I saw a couple people.
They gotta do it like operas do it, where everyone's just it's like looks like you're about to fall. Like you might fall down. That's when we need more movie theaters like that, just opera style. You have no leg space. You have to sit upright.
Oh my god! Speaking about legs, the reclining seat. I was like, what's really comfortable right now? Halfway up, perfect, like arch. You know what I mean? Like not legs, not extend all the way. Because
I'm full.
Sometimes I don't like that.
Long legs.
After the second act in the movie, my legs start getting uncomfortable. I want them down, but the seat squeaks when you do it. So I just left it like that the whole damn time. It was very disappointing. I was waiting for those credits to roll just so I can put my feet down. You know what I mean? Let's talk about the movie. We watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, as the episode title suggests. This is like the 49th millionth Marvel movie at this point. Whatever.
Are they close to 50? It fucking feels like it.
They've been doing 3 a year pre-pandemic for a couple of years, and I think now post-pandemic at least twice a year. So like, and it's been 15 years. So I would imagine they're over 30. You know what I mean?
They're getting close.
Wild. At least in the MCU ones, you know what I mean?
Right.
Why don't we talk about some spoiler-free stuff generally, and then just jump into spoilers? You probably already watched the movie for listening to this or watching this on YouTube. But just to, I think this helps to actually talk generally and broadly about our feelings about the movie.
I think, yeah.
Besides getting into blank person does this one specific thing that I really liked. You know what I mean? So I think it's fun to just do it.
I liked this specific scene, it does help getting a more broad stroke for sure.
So why don't you tell me, Devin, what you thought about this movie, and I guess a spoiler-free fashion.
Right. So yeah, I think, we're big Guardians fans. We've had our gripes with the MCU the last, I would say 4 or 5 months. We've kind of, I think both of us collectively have come to terms with being like, they have a recipe now, and the recipe's getting kind of stale. And out of all the ones I was looking forward to in the next couple years was probably this one, and I don't know if they're even doing a fucking other Spider-Man. I don't know. Maybe Blade, because I'm just very curious how the hell they're gonna pull that off.
Right.
For my
Four. I would be curious. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I haven't really paid too much attention to the shows and whatnot. The last Marvel thing I think I watched was the holiday special of Guardians.
Same.
But I'm a James Gunn fan. I like vast majority of his work. I'm literally wearing Peacemaker today.
Okay.
To represent. I feel like I had high expectations though going in because of all the reasons I just said. I'm a Guardians fan. It's like the last thing of MCU that I kind of care about right now. Maybe that'll change in the future. Maybe I'll just fall off more. I don't know. But I will say I really liked this one, but I feel like the overall, there's like certain parts of it that I really like, and I won't go into detail when we get to the spoilers, but I feel like this is the weakest Guardians movie, if you're not counting the holiday special.
Right.
I know when we ranked the two Guardian movies.
It's weaker than I Am Groot?
I forgot about those. But I think we ranked the second one as number one, then the first one, or maybe they had flipped.
We have two above
both of them in high regard. Regard. And not saying this is, like I said, not saying it's bad or whatnot. I just think there's some and I think some of it's not even his fault. I think it's because of the overarching MCU and what it set this movie up to work with that might have, I think, disappointed me, I guess, in some ways in that regard of how he could have done something differently, or maybe he had different plans with it. But regardless, I still had fun. I will say this movie's a lot, I don't want to say depressing, I guess darker is a way to look at it. It's there's a lot of sad parts in it. There's a lot of emotional parts compared to the first two, and actually compared to a lot of the other Marvel movies. So I enjoyed that. I was kind of surprised of how emotional some parts were, and considering that some of the things weren't even things from the other movies. So I was like, oh, good job again. James Gunn knows how to work his magic of getting you to care about things that maybe you wouldn't normally with another director or writer. But yeah, I'm trying not to go into spoilers, but yeah, I think it's a solid film. There's some, I think, just gelling issues with some parts, some sections. I feel like I liked some of the sections, and then okay, now we're going to here, and that's fine. But now I feel like the other part was maybe not, I kind of want to go back to that. I want to know more about that. So I just felt like it was kind of gelling. It needed to be gelled a little bit better together. But overall, it's better than the last 5 Marvel movies I've seen by a long shot. All the actors are great in it. Cinematography's solid as usual. It still has that Marvel-ness to it, but it still felt like James Gunn's work. Color palette's really good. All the Guardian movies have great like color palettes, just in terms of the colors choices. But yeah, overall fun. If you like the Guardian movies, definitely go see this. And if maybe you've fallen off the MCU train a little bit, go check this one out. At least I think, and then maybe we can skip the other ones together.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a little higher on this movie. I think this is the best one of those 3. I think this is the best Guardians thing. And you were talking earlier about like the tone of the movie, you said like sadder, more depressing. I think, the stakes are personal in this movie, and that ramps up everything else. Like when you look at what could potentially be at the outset, multi-series, movie franchise involving specific characters, but they're all done in a way where like they're wrapped up so that like there's a new status quo at the end of each one. We're not on a cliffhanger like Fast X probably is going to have, etc. There's always a chance of like, if this is the last one, we want to make sure it's ended on a good note. Like the first movie ends on a good note. We're together. If this was the only one, great. The second one ends, with a resolution, Peter's resolution with his father, and there's a different dynamic with the team. There's closure with a lot of things. We're all said and done. This movie needed to do the same thing in terms of how it ends and all that stuff. But even just like the premise of each of these movies, if you're like, we're going to have 8 of these movies, you're going to get into a Land Before Time situation. I don't know if you ever watched those movies.
I think I saw them. I had the first one on VHS or something.
15 of them, my dude.
Damn.
There's like 15 of them. Yeah.
There's an anthology.
First one was in theaters. Rest were direct to video. Each one of those is like, what random fucking thing can we come up with as the plot of this movie? The contrivance that happens, which causes action to happen, and all that stuff.
Right.
It's easy to have had this movie be another wacky adventure that also has a B plot that becomes the A plot, or you know what I mean, and that's how it ends. But I think this movie being very personal with its stakes, being very serious, I don't think that ruined the comedy or anything like that. But I think that's what grounded the movie to being, this is the last one. I don't think I would even want another one after this based off how this one presented it, because what are they going to do next? This, but even sadder, you know what I mean? I just think it was, I almost said perfect as just a hyperbolic thing to throw out there. I think as far as MCU endings go, in terms of here is our characters, now they're done. This is probably the best we're ever going to get. I even throw that above Captain America, who had his, and Iron Man, who had their endings in an ensemble movie where we need to set up that other things are going to happen afterwards type of things. Like, I feel like in 10 years after we've had the last of the Ant-Mans, maybe I didn't see Ant-Man in Quantumania. I don't know if that was the last one or not. Probably not, because I'm sure he's going to be in an Avenger movie or something like that.
Well, we'll see how it didn't make much. I mean, it made money, but you know what I mean. It didn't make as much money as the other ones, so maybe they
might not get any solo films anymore. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And I think I think in 10 years we're going to look back on this one and be like, wow, they had one like complete story told that was a pretty like self-contained. Yeah, you did need to see 2 Avengers movies where they had minor roles, and in Avengers Infinity War, spoilers for that movie, old movie, Gamora dies, and then is a different Gamora in Endgame, and then we begin this movie having that has to be a part of the premise. We can't just ignore that. So yeah, you would need to watch those 2, but still, like, this is self-contained. Iron Man's story, his last movie was in 2013. That was a decade ago. And then, like, he has all of these, like, supporting role things that are still progressing his personal story. And then, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel like he was given the time needed for that, when I think these characters did, if that makes sense. So I think this is the best one. I think the music choices were less fun and poppy. There was one where I'm like, really, are you picking this song? Is weird. Maybe it's just because it was in the Mario Brothers
Some of them
movie.
were familiar to me, but other ones really weren't compared to the first two movies. I feel like that's another, I guess, flaw for me. Is this, I guess, more of a personal taste thing. Is like,
Really?
I get what the why they chose some of the music, but just felt, I don't know. I just feel like I needed the energy or something like for certain parts. It didn't feel like as incorporated as much as like the first two are. Like the first one, like that, Redbone there in the first scene, like tells you like the vibes for the entire film, and then this one just felt. And I get why, like it's like a tone thing. We won't get into spoilers, but I don't know. It just was like, I guess it was just, it's hard for me to like, I feel like the music was part of it as much just because the tone of everything. Because some of the music was still like you said, it wasn't poppy, but it wasn't like the Batman with, was it Nirvana there or whatever? It's, it's not that like, they're like, something in the way,
these
all
were
that
still
shit, like
jams, more or less. You know what I mean? These weren't like sad ballads, but yeah. I'm really high up in this movie. However, it does have some things I would have changed or removed, etc. So I don't think it's like, I don't think I would say it's the best of all of the Marvel movies, but it's certainly up there for me. Why don't we talk spoilers now, and why don't we make sure we center on talking about the core of why we're even here today. Vin Diesel as Groot. Now, I think there is at least two big standout moments that happen towards the end of the movie. We're in spoilers, for obviously. But overall, I think as far as Vin Diesel's Groot is concerned, I was a little disappointed he didn't really have anything going on. I feel like all the characters had some sort of arc that either begins with this movie or at least ends in this movie that might have been struck before. You know what I mean? Like, Drax loses his family before even the first movie. He gets a resolution in terms of how his life moves forward that is an homage to that idea. We even get some of the Christmas or the holiday special, Mantis being technically a sister to Peter type of thing, but then, she's only ever been, around other people and following them. You get some of that stuff, etc. But I feel like Groot didn't have anything.
They're like, he's just bigger now, and like he has his moments of like comedy bits, but like, and some action bits, but he doesn't have any like, I guess you can call it, growth. Like physically he grew, but
a support character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he is there to help everyone else. I feel like he doesn't make any actions on his own that hyper.
He's just there to help.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I've granted the two big parts. I feel like at the end of the movie where he says, "I love you guys."
I was gonna make that the quote, but I'm like, that's a spoiler, so I didn't want to like.
That's fair. That's fair. That got a tear out of my eye. It was like, wow, it feels weird. Like that doesn't count
Vin Diesel
as
telling
us
us
or anything
though.
like
It's because
that.
he's telling that was actually a shout out to the show.
Exactly.
Because he's like, oh, I love you guys. You guys watched all my stuff.
Diesel.
I love you guys specifically.
Exactly.
They just cut out the part where it says Ethan and Devin.
Right. And the audience of the Jimmy Kimmel show he was on. And then I'm just gonna call it like I see it because I don't know what else you would call it. That was Alpha Groot in that mid-credit scene there.
That was Alpha Groot this whole time.
Because
it has to be.
It has to be. I would love if and maybe this is real because that would be awesome. But I would love if he was never intended to be like that in the post movie type of thing. But because James Gunn is like, the fuck does he mean by Alpha Groot? That kind of willed that into existence. Like, sure, here is an Alpha Groot.
He asked Vin Diesel, like, what would Groot's end story be?
He's just
he's
bigger.
He's just bigger. He's ripped, dude. I did like Kaiju Groot too. That was cool.
Yeah.
Because it was scary to see like that big, lengthy, tall, like 40-foot tall tree thing walking down a suburban
But you do get the
road.
idea that, like, if this was a video game or something like that, he's more vulnerable because he's not as dense. You can literally see through him. You know what I mean? Like,
It'd always be like shoot the limbs, do enough damage, he falls over, and then I don't know,
and hack at his head.
hit him in the head. Yeah,
exactly.
Classic.
You want a longer weapon so you can reach his dangly arms. You know what I mean?
Yeah, some sort of ranged weapon. Yeah.
Or just a big hammer. You know, maybe a hammer that you can pull a sword out of the handle. I've been playing a lot of Bloodborne recently, and that's my go-to. But I think I'm not upset by the
I'm glad we got a different line though, because I was like, where are we gonna rank this one again? Yeah, where are we gonna rank this? You know, because I remember by the end we were like, he has one I am Groot. We watched a 3.5 hour film, and he says one I am Groot.
Yeah. Yeah, we have.
He only had like 5 in this one, and then the I love you guys as the other. So.
By the end of our summer of Groot, we like gave Thor: Love and Thunder the Vin Diesel performance ranking of 39 because we're like, what the fuck did we watch this for? So
I don't think he even says I am Groot.
He might have. I don't. He has to have, otherwise Vin Diesel wouldn't have gotten a credit for the movie. You know what I mean? And he has a credit for the movie, and so But yeah, he also yells in this movie, so that counts as a line.
That's true.
And yeah, he says, I love you guys at the end there. It really just felt like Vin Diesel said that. If that makes sense. It felt like...
I honestly I wish they changed the line, be like, just to say like, we're forever family. Like, you missed an opportunity to have Vin Diesel, Mr. Family himself, just say the line.
Yeah.
Say the line.
Yeah. Now,
the crowd would have erupted.
Lie to you. After that, I kind of wish he just all of a sudden could talk like normal, just all the time, and just how weird that would be. Maybe Alpha Groot does. Maybe that unlocked the Alpha Groot state.
Everyone leaving unlocked the ability to speak.
Yeah.
Common English.
Parts of the movie that you feel like, because you're lower on the movie than me. Parts of the movie you felt like could have used improvement, or parts of the movie you think didn't work out that well. Hit me.
So the first, I feel like the main premise, or what they're trying to start with, is that this is the Rocket Raccoon's like origin recap, but also like what drives him, and also showing like that the Guardians are a family. And so 80% of this plot is them trying to resuscitate him, and also fight the guy who created him. And we get to that point where like, he's about to die or is dying. He's literally in heaven. He sees he sees his friends there, which I thought was peak James Gunn, where like he makes me care about a freaking otter or whatever.
Yeah.
An otter
like,
with
they're not even real.
Robot arms. You know what I mean? Like just like
for me it was the rabbit that has the metal guard over its mouth.
Yeah. It has like spider legs.
Named Floor.
Yeah. Like that was like probably the most emotional scene. It was not even a character like we've known prior to these movies. It's just like maybe 5 minutes worth of screen time combined. But after they bring him back, and they're like, the rest of the Guardians are on the ship, and they're like, okay, we got to go save them. It just felt like after like they resuscitated him, it felt like a different movie. Like I wanted it to be completely Rocket Raccoon story after how you started it and how the middle was going. Like there was 2 parts. There's them going to the one planet to get the files. Then it was them going to the suburban counter Earth or whatever, where this capitalism is still reigning, which is funny. There's still just homelessness and crime still.
Right. I thought it was weird. Maybe I'm just reaching here, that like the go-to point out that no, this is not a utopia, that Chris Pratt Star-Lord says is the selling drugs and not the fact that it's just Earth, which itself is full of all of the things, you know what I mean? Like, you said capitalism, but just like classism in general. Yeah. Right. You know what I mean?
Right. But so yeah, after Raccoon's like, back and whatnot, it just felt like, okay, we're gonna go save the children and stop the bad guy. But like Rocket Raccoon like comes back, he's like, thank you. And then like, I just wish he was like more like interested of like, oh, because he doesn't know what's happened like in between him being in a coma basically to now. He doesn't realize who they're fighting. They don't show any of that. They kind of just like, we need to go save him. Okay, a rocket's back. Cool. And then they're like, we're gonna go do that. Like, I liked them saving the children and the animals and all that. And we get that final fight with Rocket Raccoon. And then the rest of the Guardians help fight him. But he doesn't even get the killing blow on him. Gamora
chooses
does.
not to. Well, the dude is still living, which is weird because they.
But you know what I mean,
live.
like
yeah.
I just feel like there was something I wish that was a little bit different there, or maybe
They
it was a
didn't
straight
go-
1v1.
They didn't go down the route of the abuser and the abusee. You know what I mean? Like he didn't talk
That's
about
true.
this with his past with them before. That's why it's all new to them and to us, right? And like, if they wanted to make a story about abuse, because there was clearly abuse there, guy was, the guy who created him essentially was emotionally manipulative beyond just being powerful, and just being able to just do whatever he wants with him anyway, without there's no need for consent, but he still emotionally abuses the consent out. You know what I mean? They didn't want to go that route. I don't necessarily think that's a bad call, but if that was their intent, what you're saying would make more sense to have
Not even
the
if
Guardians
even if he
not
doesn't
be
kill
there
him,
for
I just
most
wish
of it. Maybe it's like, he's losing against the guy, and he was getting telekinesis thrown around a bit, but you don't have it start that way, and you know what I mean. There's a talk type of.
he does eventually
battle
shoot
thing.
him, and then the Guardians come.
But have it be like, you're weak on your own. I have family. Type of thing.
Well, I mean, I felt like the message in that part was them trying to say like, but they didn't necessarily, I guess, say it. I don't know if this was me just interpreting it differently, but just being like he has trauma, he has issues with his past, and maybe doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't necessarily have to, but like his family is there to support him regardless. And that's, I feel like, kind of what I got from the ending, but I didn't feel like that either, because it just felt like we beat the bad guy, let him live. Okay, we got to save the animals. And I liked saving the animals and all that. It just, I feel like there was, I needed the section. And it doesn't have to be that long. I just needed something to get from Rocket Raccoon to realize who they're fighting. And I wanted to see more of his, like, just coming to terms of his realization and coming to terms with, like, how is this going to end? No more. He does do like, I'm not running anymore, but I feel like that was already so far into the fight. Like he flew a ship. He fought. Like he didn't even like react to the other flying dudes in space there who were like him, which all of them are really creepy, by the way. I loved the weird like crocodile beach lizard dude, the big one. With the creepy red eyes, that was cool.
I thought the pig creature was
War Pig. That's what it said in the credits. War Pig, which is great.
Speaking about in the credits, there is someone credited as Gamora shoots this guy with an exclamation point, and that's just the credit for that's someone's name.
But I think it's like the biggest
the War Pig, because I thought that design was cool.
I liked all the designs of the dudes. I think that was like my biggest gripe with the movie, is that like I feel like this was Raccoon's story, and then it just at moments there was some B plot with like Gamora and Peter, and that kind of just was like let to the wayside at parts. Maybe I think they dwelled on it too much at other times, and then
I can see
at the end when Peter is like floating in space, I thought Gamora was gonna save him because. Because in the first movie, doesn't he help save her in space in the same scenario? I thought that would have been a great way to be like, hey, we're never gonna be in a relationship, but like that can remind Peter that like she can still be, saved his life.
It's a guy who didn't need to be in the movie at all, which we can talk about in a bit.
Yeah, and I felt bad for him because I think he had some funny parts, but I just didn't care about him or like why is he It felt like they were like, shit, we showed him in the ending of end of the second, and then all the Avengers movies happened, which I'm sure James Gunn wasn't part of in the writing. So he's like, fuck, I wanted to do something with him, but now I would feel bad if I didn't bring him in at all. That's my other gripe with this film is that, and it's not because of James Gunn's fault. I just think with everything that happened in Avengers Endgame, I feel like it kind of restricted James Gunn in doing what he wanted to do with some of the characters like Peter and Gamora, where he couldn't just, they're in love again, because that'd be stupid. It wouldn't make any sense.
Right. I
don't know if that's what he wanted those characters to be. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like that. And then the whole, like, he has a line, Peter's like, yeah, I had to act all emotional and like let half the universe die. Like, I've also heard I thought I read somewhere that like, or maybe people were just opinion based off the movie, but just people being like, yeah, I feel like he didn't like that he didn't like how they made Peter like the stupid guy in that scenario and got greedy. Because I still this like, least favorite part of Infinity War was like, it kind of is, everyone blames him. You know what I mean? Because it is kind of on him.
He acts a little bit too irrational. Yeah. For what,
and he's not really a rational guy, especially in this movie where like he's telling Gamora not to shoot people, and like he's gonna try to like charisma his way, if you want to charisma roll his way through situations.
I had that thought. But I liked the fact that they didn't do the guy convinces girl who forgets about him to fall in love with him again, because I feel like that's very trite and that happens all the time, or in movies. Because it's not how, like, she's a person. You can't just change her into being someone else because that's who you want her to be. That's a different person. And they especially throw that out there at the end when she's reunited with the Ravengers, and you can see how happy she is with them. You know what I mean?
Right.
As opposed to she was in the rest of the movie. But yeah, no, the Peter, like, before Infinity War even happened, before it entered theaters, James Gunn had said that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and I don't have a quote on this somewhere, so, I gotta trust myself that this is something he actually said, but he said the third movie was gonna be about Gamora. So I've had that in the back of my head, back here, on the left side of the back of my skull, ever since then, and I assume that was the plot of, the primary, like, driving force of the movie was she is somewhere, maybe she's doing bad things, you know what I mean? And we got to convince her, etc. And then the trailers with the Rocket Raccoon stuff, I'm like, that is the B plot, you know what I mean? And that is not the case. They are swapped. An 80-20.
But then I read an interview like recently being like, when he really got into Guardians was because of Rocket Raccoon. So I don't know. Like, it just at the end of the day, it does seem that like it was I don't want to say at this level because that level is super controversial, but like the Last Jedi scenario where one director had one direction, another had a different direction, and then the people on the top making the decisions were like, nope, we have to do it this way. So I feel like that's part of it. Like I said, I don't really blame James Gunn for like doing the Gamora and Peter thing, because I don't think he doesn't sound like that was part of his, I guess, quote unquote original vision, or at least not in the plans to kill her off, and then
he did not even propose the idea of killing her off. If I remember correctly from reading things for Guardians 1 and 2 for this show, when I did like the history things for those movies for the show, for Guardians 1, he was basically given no mandates other than he had to introduce like the Infinity Stones, and he had to like mention Thanos. So like, and he was in it a little bit in that first movie, not in the second one at all, but he was talked about, Nebula, I have to kill Thanos, etc. We can do it together, we're sisters. You get that closure there in that movie. But the whole like really delving into like Thanos was in control of these two people's like lives and etc. We really get that in the two Avengers movie where he's in it, and It makes sense, but like it feels like that was a necessary thing to do to, you know what I mean? Like, I question too how much of that mattered to James Gunn for the sake of the trilogy.
Because I think James Gunn, I mean, I guess I can't say this. I was gonna say I don't know how much he cares for like overarching things. I think he's more of a just classic storyteller. He has.
No one can write stories forever, and
right.
like you know what I mean.
He has ideas for characters and either how they what they're progressing to, you know, and whatnot. Maybe there's a theme he's or moral to the story he's trying to tell. Maybe there's a general theme. And obviously this one he's trying to end it, right? Because he's also going to be doing all the DC stuff. So it'll be interesting to see since he's like the overarching head of DC.
Yeah.
Because like,
yeah,
you know, I think it can either be really cool, but also could see it being like just based off his other stuff, he likes to not take like, you know, the whole universe continuity thing.
Still waiting for that Scooby-Doo MCU. Scooby-Doo cinematic.
Yeah, he doesn't. I feel like he doesn't really care too. He's more of just trying to tell a fun story with fun characters, with fun action. You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
it's a lot easier to do that.
Peacemaker was the same thing. I didn't give two fucks about what the DC universe was, and it's just like nope.
Now he has to.
Yeah, now he has to. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see, but I don't want to talk too much about the negatives either, though. I think the second act there where they go to, the first act when they go to that one like biological like planet eyeball looking thing. I really liked that. That was super like just 70s in the sense of like how like it visually looked like a lot of like I don't know, like Wes Anderson level of like
color palette, sure.
Yeah, with like the whites and the orange and those kind of muted
furniture designs and stuff, and the way like certain curves are on things. I can see. I
just really dug that whole section just visually. I'm like, this is cool, and also like it to me. That's why I feel like he's my favorite director of all the MCU movies, is because you know it isn't like the other MCU movies. And granted, most of them take place on Earth, so maybe that's not fair. But just like they all kind of follow the same color palette, have the kind of same things. I think I'm visually seeing the same shit all the time. But at least with Guardians, he's not afraid to just be like, fuck it, there's this kind of world, and it looks like this, just because it's cool.
Made of skin.
Yeah.
I particularly like the archive, the data archive, with all those like dodecahedrons of flesh buried in there, and how one is retrieved is like all these things just flipping
It's like a
around.
weird membrane, like moving around.
I liked that a lot, because that felt very unique to me. Nathan Fillion was just randomly in it, which I liked. But like,
and I loved how ridiculous their suits were. It was so like,
you know what they reminded me of?
Go ahead.
Being an organic type of thing, and how like you have this gigantic, you know, I don't even know if it's alive necessarily, but it's this sort of giant organic thing. You have all these tiny real people flying around in spacesuits, whatever. Their spacesuits, the security spacesuits, remind me of the microscopic organism known as a water bear. If you don't know what this is, look it up. Look up what a water bear is. They're terrifying. They were in Ant-Man 1 when he goes into the super microverse or whatever.
Oh, okay.
They are horrifying if they were large.
Oh, I see.
That's what their suits kind of remind me of.
Their suits remind me a little bit of just like the 70s in terms of like it's clearly like prop armor and it's like goofy looking, and I just like that. I just love that like physical aesthetic where they could have just CG'd everybody, you know what I mean, and called it a day like most of these Marvels. Like no, it's a physical like wearing this goofy armor. Even like going back to other Vin Diesel work, the dudes in Riddick there who have all that like the big black like elvish looking armor.
Yeah.
Like I always liked that like physical like prop armor.
You can always tell. You can always tell. Maybe you get used to seeing just the balls on the suits and the CG stuff over it. But once you see that, yes, Zoe Saldana is painted green. Like you can tell that is so much more real than whatever MCU character I saw recently that was CGI'd green.
Right.
They
She-Hulk.
just look real. Yeah, She-Hulk. That's the example, right? Now, granted, lower budget, whatever. They could have painted her too.
Another example is like the original Dune movie, like in the 80s there. Like I haven't
By,
seen in entirety,
Lynch?
but I've seen by Lynch there. But I didn't see the entire movie, but I've seen like clips and stuff, and like their armor's like bulky and like just fantastical, but also like not even practical looking, and I fucking love that shit. I don't know why I like it. Even if it does look a little cheesy, I like it. And in a way, like they look goofy in this, and it's funny that like you have these people who are trying to be serious wearing all this goofy armor, and it's just good. Like and it's gonna stand. It's gonna last so much longer.
Reason why it was like that either. You know what I mean? It just was. So yeah, that stuff was fantastic. I think the like the movie had lots of weight to it, and like while I don't want to say I knew no one was going to die of the main cast, I really didn't think they were. I feel like that'd be very easy to pull pull the heartstrings a bit. And I feel like he's a smarter writer than that. So I didn't come in confident someone was going to die. That being said, there is a lot of killing in the movie, obviously, but then that planet there is no attempt to save that planet. That planet just explodes, just bit by bit. It is, all those people are dead. All those like animal people from, I feel like that was definitely an 80s type of style, like suburban, or there's still some 70s furniture left over, but like very clearly 80s stuff going on there.
I want to try that soda they had, that blue soda or whatever it was.
Yeah, Nebula liked it. Yeah. Also, just the couch, and like that's a debate I've literally had where I'm like, I just want to lay down on this couch, but I have my shoes on, and I know it's not nice, but I'm leaning.
I think if it's your own place, that's one thing.
Not my place.
I think if you're a guest,
yeah, I've had that where I'm like, I'm just doing.
Unless you're sleeping over and like they say, yeah, you can crash on the couch. That is to me like the only permissible time. Yeah. Maybe not full, or like if you're gonna do that, maybe like have kind of like a half on, half off scenario.
Where your feet, you make sure your feet are still hanging off the side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah. I mean, we had the opening to that in the trailer, which kind of spoiled it. But we were thinking how weird it was. That it was like, this is like just a suburban. These are just houses. This is weird. Is this on Earth? No.
And we thought they were going to Earth, and then they weren't. But
it's all the animal people. But and then like the bad guy, high evolutionarist, the bad guy. Yeah. I forget what his name was besides that. I liked him a lot.
Scientist Thanos, basically.
Yeah, exactly. There's no explanation on how he can do the purple gravity shit.
Space shit, dude. Whatever.
Who cares? It's just to make sure that he is capable of being imposing, even if someone talks back. You know what I mean?
He's not like a Dr. Frankenstein where you could, you know what I mean? Like one of his people could just have killed him by now. Like he needs that like additional powers.
I liked him a lot. I liked, it's one of those types of villains that has an ideal they're striving towards, but it's very clearly fucked up. I don't even mean that in the like, the world deserves better things, but I killed a baby, so now you have to stop me. I'm a bad guy. Or like, Bane in Dark Knight Rises, like showing the Occupy Wall Street stuff as actually the correct thing to do, but because he wants to set off a nuke, Batman is just stopping a guy that wants to set off a nuke. He's not a tool of,
man, I gotta rewatch that.
Why rewatch that movie, man?
I didn't really think about the politics of it at all.
In a braver universe, there's literally a scene where Bane is in Wall Street there, in the stock exchange, and he's holding up. He's got people holding up, and there's this guy cowering, a stockbroker there, and he says, "Why are you here? There's no money for you to steal." And he says, "Then why are you here?" Like that is just straight up how it is. But and like you could have that argument of like Batman is a tool of not necessarily the outwardly corrupt, but a tool of the status quo to make sure that
the bourgeoisie.
He's an ultra cop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That does what cops won't do, but still protecting generally what
we
cops
do. We need a Batman
but he has to stop
story.
A nuke.
We need a Batman story where like Batman is like is the bad guy, and it's about like poor people getting pissed off and like just it's just a plan of how to kill the Batman. Just no Joker, no like some super villain, just like just a group of like poor or homeless folk who are just like, just fuck this guy. Like, I'm only stealing because I have to. Like, we need to fucking take him out.
Yeah, well, I don't think Batman goes around and just beats up anyone who ever steals anything.
I know, but like if you set up the premise more as like showing Batman as like you saying a super cop.
Yeah.
Just like it'd be funny.
This villain isn't necessarily on that comical level of person with obviously the correct view on the world, whether Hollywood, and the people that write it want to admit it or not. But he does some bad thing. Like, no, this person really has a bad view on the way the world works, and he is trying to make it, in his vision accomplished. Even then, still, I think he was good. I don't think he is as good as doing back to my thing. Thanos is a perfect example of like, he is right. Like, there's not enough resources for everyone. Like, but genocide is not an answer. You know what I mean?
He's a environmental fascist. That's the best way to describe him.
He's
like,
but
your response shouldn't be genocide.
Right, exactly. So like, no, our heroes aren't stopping you from saving the world. It's stopping you from killing. You know what I mean? I liked him a lot. I think his scenes were fantastic. The whole time in the current day, I'm like, man, he's got his face stretched to the side. Something happened. We finally get that flashback where Rocket scratches the shit out of his entire face, out of rage. And
that could have been a Two-Face reveal, missed opportunity.
It could have been, or just half the face it peeled off. Yeah,
and it's exactly the same actor somehow from Batman Dark Knight.
Yeah, that guy who played Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, in The Dark Knight. He went on to be in what I assume was a terrible movie called I think it was called I, Frankenstein, where he was an anti-hero Frankenstein's monster type thing. Only time I ever think I saw that guy.
I don't think I've seen that one, but I remember hearing about it.
There's like a shot of him being like this, and he's like holding something. He's like the cover or whatever. But I liked him. I thought he was great. I think all the animal friends Rocket had were great. Again, I like Floor, the rabbit with spider legs that has something fucked up in its mouth, and it just doesn't have a mouth anymore, and it has that apparatus instead.
Actually, I want to talk more about the animal thing. I remember seeing like a tweet before seeing the movie tonight, being like there should have been like an animal cruelty warning, because that is a trigger for some people with like in terms of just for some reason, humans are weird where like, there's horror movies like Evil Dead and shit where people, people's skin and fucking shit's getting cut up, and we're like, we know what we're getting out of that. But yeah, maybe some people going into this weren't expecting to see like robotic animal things. Like even Rocket, like when you first see him as a baby with like the shaved head and all the different stuff. Like I could see that being a little uncomfortable for especially maybe younger audiences. But I remember reading about it, and I wasn't sure until I Googled it afterwards. That James Gunn is a vegan.
Really?
Because I was like watching this, I'm like, this is like, I feel like not a critique, but just like a showing, obviously an extreme level of like animal testing. To advance science to, and even the main bad guy says at points, like you're just a step to getting to a better world, a better society, a utopia, and I'm not gonna try to debate, try to start a debate about like the ethics of everything, but and others, some people are vegan too because of just dietary reasons, not less about the I guess the animal rights aspect of it. Sure. But just based off watching this and like me remembering that and then Googling it again, I'm like, yeah, it's definitely like, I think he's trying to show that like, hey, we need to talk about, animal rights and animal testing. And yeah, it's just, it's very emotional for me. I mean, like I'm not vegan or anything, but like, my partner's vegetarian, she does it for diet reasons, but she also like does really like animals and stuff. And I've always liked animals, being a friggin' Boy Scout and shit growing up. I also grew up, in the middle of nowhere where like I always thought bugs and shit were cool for the longest time. I liked all the animals. Never could hunt. Did archery, but like people were like, "Hey, you ever gonna hunt?" I'm like, "No." Like I don't want to. The poor deer didn't do anything wrong. I say you should only hunt if it's fair, in the sense that it should be what you're born, like hand-to-hand combat. The bear don't have no gun.
Absolutely.
Dude, if you're gonna kill a bear, you got to be able to take it out with your bare hands.
I saw this fucking short video on Twitter, and the context of it was people making fun of this. So like, it's not like I follow people that are pro this, but like, it's this jackass dude, and he's smoking a cigar, and he's holding his gun, and he's standing in front of a dead zebra, and the thing was like, it was one of those like when you fight, you gotta fight to kill, and it's something in the man versus the beast, and it's a zebra. What was it gonna do? Eat the grass in front of you?
Yeah, right.
It would only become violent if you attacked it, and then it would try to kick you or run away, like,
or
what
approach
do you mean?
its personal space that
you didn't
it probably
fight
doesn't
a
want to be.
lion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You shot a zebra.
Right.
And I feel like most hunters, when you see like the big game, I killed an elephant or whatever. Like, yeah, you shot it in the neck.
Well,
while
that's
it was
illegal.
sleeping.
Like I know, like a lot of elephants are endangered, so it's illegal to be hunting. Most of the big game you see, like with like lions and shit, is most of the time just poaching.
Sure.
And
my point being that like it's not like the thing is charging and oh my god, it's like we're gonna sneak up on the sleeping tiger. Here's the back of the head, bam. I killed it, guys. Like, you're not cool. Sorry.
Yeah.
Anyone can take a gun and kill someone that's sleeping. Congrats.
Right.
You win.
Yeah. But I don't want to go into a big debate about it, but just
to be fair.
But like I respect the hell out of it, I guess, like especially from an animal rights thing. Even at my my one job, like I'm not gonna say where because they but a lot of like medical companies and whatnot like they test on rabbits and shit like that. You know what I mean? And before testing on people, and that's just how it is. But I think it gets into a question of like he says, like, oh, just burn them all, we're done with them, or exterminate them, and that I know happens. I don't at my work, I don't know, but just like I know that happens in a lot of places. Also, let's talk, if you want to talk about like the mass slaughtering of like cattle and stuff for beef and whatnot at a very high rate, and just not even in a humanitarian sense. It's it's not a like, hey, I'm gonna go hunt deer so I can have food tonight. It's it's for all the hamburgers and the shit like that. But no, I just thought like knowing what I remembered and Googling it to triple check that it was cool to see it from that lens. That I think maybe it's part of the reason why he liked Rocket Raccoon, is that he was kind of a he's an experiment that proved that he's more than just an experiment. He's not just scientific fodder, I guess you can call it. So I just really liked that.
I liked too that they didn't come to an answer on how he was somehow smarter than expected. I mean, that was our villain man's there was obsessed with trying to figure out how he knew what he knew. And Rocket doesn't have an answer, you know what I mean? I'm glad that they didn't just say, oh, it's because of this or that.
He has this one gene, that it was
it could have been anyone type of thing. Which is, hey, what I think to circle back, that's what I think The Last Jedi wanted to do with the Force. Say like, no, it can be anyone. It's not about whose bloodline you are, type of thing. And then J.J. Abrams says, oh, you know what? It would be a good idea if it was actually.
I don't even blame him. I just blame fucking Disney for just.
Yeah,
I go. At the end of the day, people like turned it into like an Abrams versus Johnson thing, and to me, I'm like, no, I saw the real enemy. We shouldn't. It's the Disney.
Walt Disney Corporation.
Walt Disney Corporation.
I will say this: just
celebrating its 100th year.
A lot of people wanted to throw around Abrams hate. I even see people that like retroactively decided that The Force Awakens was a bad movie. No, I think it was a great movie, and I don't think you could have gotten Last Jedi without The Force Awakens being exactly what it was. But putting that aside, Abrams is great at starting things, at rebooting things. He rebooted Mission Impossible. He rebooted Star Trek. He rebooted Star Wars. And they were all exactly what they needed to be. And they were fantastic. He started Lost. He did not finish Lost. Other people finished Lost. That's why it's bad. I think the first Cloverfield movie was a great idea. I think the last Cloverfield movie was probably a bad idea. Or there might be another one.
That was more Reeves, though. Matt Reeves was Cloverfield
or whatever. So I don't think I'm not going to jump on the anti-Abrams bandwagon here. I still want to see him, but he has certain things he's good at. Not everyone's good at everything, you know what I mean? And maybe James Gunn won't be good at a Superman movie, but I'm excited to see what his Superman movie is. Maybe someone that likes, hope. Maybe we'll make him a Superman movie.
Just make Superman a skinny dude like
he's gonna make him woke. That's what this movie was.
Make him skinny and woke. Make him skinny and woke. I want him to be like me. Fuck it, James Gunn, hit my number up. I'll do it.
Oh well, apparently the Abrams Superman movie is still happening. That was like a rumor. He was doing a Superman movie, and I guess that's still happening. Yeah.
Well, I think after this movie, they should just stop making. I think we just gotta cut it off.
They can still make Spider-Man movies.
And end up on. I think just as a compromise for everybody.
So you're saying this movie was so good, it's worth being the last one?
I just feel like we need to end on a decently high note.
That's fair. Why don't we kind of end on a decently high note as well and kind of wrap up our episode here? We do this, again, if you're new, I'm sorry, we are about an hour and a half into the episode here. Before we explain how we end the show by ranking the movie or game or eventually CD with everything else Vin Diesel has done. So I have for you all 2 different lists for you to view. We have a movie ranking list and a Vin Diesel performance ranking list. And as well, on the side, last episode, we did an overall that was a combination of 2. We have a point system where we add the 2 points together. Lowest points is highest on the thing. That's why the highest has 11 points. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk about Vin Diesel's, we're going to talk about how Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is overall while ranking that. And then we're going to do Vin Diesel specifically, how he impacted this movie specifically. So
and his overall, either if, for example, if he was a director, we look at it from like, how was he as a director? If he was an actor, we look at it from that. If he's both a producer and actor, we've done that. As you'll see on our Vin ranking,
he owns, and therefore we know he has essentially total creative control. Let's talk. I was going
to say on the Vin ranking, you'll see like F8 is an example where we're like we put that movie in high regard. In terms of Vin Diesel's performance, but it was his beef with The Rock that dropped that rating down. That there's also other things that can go into play. So, for example, if it came out that he said James Gunn suck my balls or something before this movie came out, that could affect the score. But that didn't happen, luckily.
I'm going to read off the movie ranking list that we have thus far. I think we go down to 45 things, so let me take a drink. Because my mouth gets dry after reading all this stuff. The movie ranking list is as follows. Number 1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 3, Saving Private Ryan. Number 4, Fast 5. Number 5, Avengers Endgame. Number 6, Avengers Infinity War. Number 7, The Fate of the Furious. Number 8, Fast and Furious 6. Number 9, Furious 7. 10, Triple X. 11, The Fast and the Furious. 12, Triple X Return of Xander Cage. 13, F9 The Fast Saga. 14, Ralph Breaks the Internet. 15, The Iron Giant. 16, Riddick. 17, Awakenings. 18, Fast and Furious. 19, Bloodshot. 20, A Man Apart. 21, Find Me Guilty. 22, Boiler Room. 23, The Chronicles of Riddick. 24, Thor, Love and Thunder. 25, Pitch Black. 26, The Last Witch Hunter. 27, The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. 28, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. 29, Vin Diesel. 30, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. 31, Knockaround Guys. 32, Fast and Furious Crossroads. 33, Wheelman. 34, The Pacifier. 35, Babylon AD. 36, Los Bandoleros. 37, I Am Groot. 38, The Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena. 39, The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. 40, Multifacial. 41, The Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Fury. 42, Strays. 43, Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth, See You Again. 44, Fast and Furious Supercharged. And 45, Riddick, Blindsided.
Dude, we're going to hit 50 at some point. We're getting real close. That's crazy.
What if the Fast and Furious 11th movie is our 50th thing? It might work out.
To be fair, we didn't do those two producer things because they literally can't be even found anywhere. They're singing a Netflix vault or somewhere, or maybe he has an unburned Blu-ray in his house.
Producer of that wrote a couple episodes but wasn't in. We're gonna figure something out with that in the future. But yes,
I literally think it's probably in a Netflix vault somewhere, or like I said, on a burned DVD in his house.
Well, if no one's willing to sell it, I say acquire it. Maybe we can look and see if there are some people that are willing to sell it to us.
Oh, I got you.
You know what I mean? So, because this is the third in a trilogy, I think it's easy to place it within that trilogy and moving forward. Now, granted, first two Guardians movies are the first two movies on our movie ranking list.
Right.
So, this, depending on where this is placed, our thing could be decided for us. I think it's the best one. I don't think you do. So where do you think this ranks within the Guardians movies itself?
I think I said earlier, I think it's my third favorite. I just feel like the first one, for example, is just, I don't know, just a classic to me. Like, just there's these new characters no one's ever heard of unless you're some comic book nerd.
Right.
And just being able to like create one of the funniest action-packed Marvel movies. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. I remember when we ranked it, but I think I was more on the first one being my favorite than the second. But it was like so like, if you just watch it, it kind of feels that way. I remember them being like 1.1, 1.2 is really what their scores are.
Sure.
So I just feel like the first one's such a classic, and the second one is just a great follow-up. There really is like not too many issues I have with that movie. It just continues that comedicness and just action-packed and just fun movie. And this one, like I said, I think is a tone difference, and it's just emotional. I feel like I'm gonna watch the other two way more than I would watch this one, just because of the emotionalness to it. It's an ending film. I think it hurts it a little bit too that it does rely on you knowing who these characters are, because if this is your first Guardians movie, you're not gonna know what the fuck's going on.
I don't know if I entirely agree with that. I agree with that.
You wouldn't know who any of these characters. They don't really show.
But I would say the same thing about a third Batman movie or a third Spider-Man movie.
I understand, but there's a reason why we have it. I think when we were talking about ranking them, is that we have to put that in perspective. Still, but like that's why we have Fast 5 up there, because we feel like it's a good standalone film, because it does introduce the characters to you. I think in a new way.
That's fair.
Like I said, I don't think it's a bad film or anything like that. I still think it's one of the better MCU films in the last couple of years. If anything, this is my favorite one in the last, at least the last year alone.
When their own advertisements say it's the best one since Endgame, they're not really talking up their other things, because I agree with that.
So for me, it's like my third. But if I'm looking at the movie ranking list, if I'm being real, like, I don't know. I mean, I could hear an argument for like Saving Private Ryan. I think I'd like a little bit more, just because I think it's a good standalone, perfect movie. I think Saving Private Ryan is a perfect movie. I think we just, Guardians and both Guardians movies are fun movies. Like, I'm not gonna watch a emotional movie every. Rewatch those a lot because they're emotional. I think that's what my issue is with Volume 3 here. Is not issue, I shouldn't say. Just like, if I'm being real, I'm probably not going to watch this one anytime soon again. But if Guardians of the Galaxy was on TV or something, I'm going to leave it on that channel. You know what I mean? When this one, I'd be like, fuck, I'm not going to get sad right now. So, But then overall, like I said, there was some gelling issues I had with it compared to the other two, where I feel like they're much more closer to perfection than this one was. So that's my
Interesting.
take.
I got you.
So I don't know how we're gonna do this. Just even regardless of what you say, I just don't know how we're gonna.
Let me say my piece. I will say, I still feel like if this movie was on TV, you would watch it anyway, because I think I would.
Jokes
I
on
feel
you.
Like
I actually don't even have cable.
Jokes on both of us. Neither do I. I canceled
So if somehow
Comcast
it was on
internet,
TV, I'd actually be
have,
confused. I'd be very confused.
How?
How did
am I paying for this? That's
right.
That's the worry. No, I am turning it off because I want to make sure I'm not getting charged. I mentioned this earlier, but I feel like it is rare for a trilogy to end on a strong note that feels satisfying with everything that the series has set up. I feel like we didn't even talk about like the end credits thing of Star-Lord will return, which I don't think that's like, oh, James Gunn is doing more movies or anything like that. I think that's basically Disney saying, you gotta give us one. Give us the guy who Hollywood is trying to make the new face of Hollywood, Chris Pratt.
It's gonna be a TV show.
He's gonna be in an Avengers crossover, and that's it. He's gonna be in the Secret Wars. Yeah,
I think he's gonna be. Is going to be like a TV show, or at least I think it'd be cool. And it's not even like Marvel. It's just kind of like a Peacemaker thing where it's just like him and his dad or his grandpa, just kind of like, I don't know, just catching up,
George,
and then running into.
He's going to have to get a job.
Like that could be an episode, him getting a job. You know what I mean? Just like
I don't think that they're going to make that. I think it's just they need him in an Avengers movie, and like, okay, fine, we're not going to take anyone else. But I feel like, like they circled back to that first movie about him being abducted and losing his family. Has to have someone left, and he does. I feel like, they talked about the Gamora Nebula stuff, and I feel like everyone had, besides Groot, I guess, not that he really had much, everyone had satisfying endings related to the weight of how impactful their character was to the trilogy overall. Because I don't think Mantis was that important even in the second movie in terms of being a part of the team. She was very much a secondary character. And then the Avengers movers were like, no, she is one of them now. I think it's rare to do. I think it's even rarer to do in this type of large ensemble. Media corporation needs this to make action figures and stuff like that. They're all wearing new outfits because we need to sell those new outfits on toys. You know what I mean? I think it's very difficult to have a weighted, impactful series trying to talk to me. Weighted, impactful ending that's like, no, we're done now. I think it's going to be very rare to see, and I feel like it gets props just because of that. Now, was it as fun as the first two movies? No, there were fun moments in there, and I feel like they were designed to make sure that we still know these characters as people that are capable of having that fun. I don't necessarily think it comes at the detriment of the film, thankfully enough. I just feel like this movie did more for how I would view the trilogy overall than the first one or the second one. End of the first one, I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to see what's next. End of the second one, oh man, I can't wait to see what's next. End of the third one, I'm like, I am satisfied and I don't want to see what happens next. I think everyone is good. That's my piece for why I think it's the best one. But since we're on different pages here, we cannot just unanimously put it at number one. We need to decide where it goes on the ranking list.
I think the easiest way would be to just compromise in the middle. I think that's what we've done in the past. Because I think we could be here all night being like, picking random reasons. But
let me ask you this, because you're the one dragging me down.
Right. 25th.
Do you think it's a lot worse than any of these other movies that aren't, the Guardians? You know what I mean? Just something that would drag it really down.
What I was saying, I was like looking at Saving Private Ryan, but like I feel like our movie ranking list, if in all honesty, is a mix of both. Is this movie both cinematography's great, like that's what we're looking at. We're looking at cinematography, we're looking at direction, we're looking at characters, we're looking at all that. And also the other factor, which is like, is it fun? Is it, do we watch it? Would we watch this again? Rewatchability. And I feel like all the ones in our top 10 have a mix of those and different elements. I would say Saving Private Ryan maybe isn't necessarily what I would call it a fun movie, because it is a war film that's pretty, trying to be realistic, trying to like show the horrors of war, right? Or at least America great. Obviously kill Nazis is good, but
if
you know
you
what I mean? That it's your classic America war film. That's what I was trying to say. But I think it's like the best America war film you could probably watch. But it's not as considered fun. But then if you look at the Guardians movies, like I said, they're close to, I think, all those and hitting all cylinders and all the things I said. And then you have Fast Five, which, like I think at least 4 out of 5 of the things I said on there are in there. So for me, it's just like this one, I think maybe was missing kind of the connecting all the pieces. I still feel like there were some loose ends, but overall the cinematography was great, direction was great. This is a James Gunn film, is great. But I just feel like it's missing a little bit on the fun factor. Not that I'm not saying it wasn't fun, but it's not hitting as much for me as the other two. So looking at the whole movie ranking, that's where I'm kind of at. But I think the best way to do this, like, I'm probably gonna the tiebreaker for me between Saving Private Ryan and this one would be like, probably would watch this one again. Like I said, I don't know when I'm gonna watch this again, just because of it's kind of, like I said, sad and a lot of poor animals and whatnot in it. And Saving Private Ryan, the same thing, where like I watch that one every like 5 to 6 years because it's like a classic. It's just a good Steven Spielberg film. But like I'm probably gonna watch Fast Five again, but I don't know. So like for me, the deal breaker between the Saving Private Ryan and Guardians 3 is probably it just being that I probably would watch it again, and it's quote unquote more fun. But maybe it's not the same level of craftsmanship maybe compared to the third one, to Private Ryan. I don't know. It's go back and forth on that. But I think it's a compromise. I say we put this at second, where I'm moving up one, but you're moving down one. I think that's the best way to do it, because I would put it at 3 or 4. So
I'm willing to take that compromise. So our new number 2 in the movie ranking list is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Wow. Which means, oops, I accidentally got rid of...
It's okay. Fast X will be number 1 in 2 weeks. Because we're just it's gonna be fucking crazy, I think, and we're gonna put it at number 1.
I hope, at least, honest to God, I hope that we can. I hope it is that good.
It's funny is I've had people at work, like, because I briefly mentioned like, oh yeah, I do a podcast, or like people are like, yeah, I've watched this actor's movie. I'm like, I've seen every fucking Vin Diesel film. All right,
not very many people get to say they've done that.
Yeah. Because people are like, they'll say like the bigger names, maybe a Leonardo DiCaprio or something. I'm like, no,
I'd like to say that about Tom Cruise, maybe one day.
But no, it's just funny. Like we were like our quote unquote experts on Vin Diesel.
I got into fucking Corona because of this man. You know what I mean?
Right. But it's funny is like every time I like when we go to the theater and the trailer's playing, there's always like the criticisms, and I'm like. Or like my brother even texted me. He went to see a movie the other day. He's like, yeah, I saw that Fast trailer and I just laughed. I'm like, it looks so goofy. And I'm like, you got to buy into the soap opera.
Did you kick his ass? Beat him up?
I'm going to have to. But
yeah,
it's just funny. I'm looking forward to my soap opera. This is our Grey's Anatomy, okay? Like, don't fuck off. Fuck the haters. It ain't for you. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's our
like
soap opera.
Burned rubber on the runway, so are the days of our lives. Let's talk about Vin Diesel's performance in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to start by reiterating what our Vin Diesel performance ranking list is thus far. Let me take another.
You sure you don't want me to take a? I feel like, you've done all of them ever, but I could always.
Yeah, stop trying to take my job. Number 1, Triple X. Number 1, Triple X. Number 2, The Fast and the Furious. Number 3, Triple X Return of Xander Cage. Number 4, Fast and Furious. Number 5, Find Me Guilty. 6, Fast and Furious 6. Number 7, Riddick. Number 8, Furious 7. Number 9, A Man Apart. 10, Fast 5. 11, The Last Witch Hunter. 12, F9, The Fast Saga. 13, Bloodshot. 14, The Pacifier. 15, The Chronicles of Riddick. 16, Babylon AD. 17, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. 18, Los Bandoleros. 19, The Fate of the Furious. 20, Guardians of the Galaxy. 21, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. 22, Boiler Room. 23, Multifacial. 24, Pitch Black. 25, Knockaround Guys. 26, Strays. 27, The Chronicles of Riddick, Dark Fury. 28, The Iron Giant. 29, Saving Private Ryan. 30, Vin Diesel. 31, The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. 32, I Am Groot. 33, Fast and Furious Crossroads. 34, Avengers Infinity War. 35, The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. 36, The Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena. 37, Wheelman. 38, The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. 39, Thor, Love and Thunder. 40, Ralph Breaks the Internet. 41, Avengers Endgame. 42, Riddick Blindsided. 43, Fast and Furious Supercharged. 44, Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth, See You Again. And 45, Awakenings. Again,
I always laugh at like some of them, even though you read them twice already. Like I just forget, even when you're reading them. Just like, yeah, Ralph, we watched that.
Yeah, which, man,
for a cameo.
Man,
that shows how dedicated we are. Okay.
Yes, that is indeed how dedicated we are. As just compared to the first two movies again, and granted, they are right next to each other in the list, so depending on how we put it, it might be easy for us. I will say, I feel like him in the first movie is still better because of the novelty of it. Therefore, more attention was drawn to it.
He has more lines.
The second movie, he was cute and a baby. And while, I Am Groot, the little miniseries, and Teenage Groot, I feel like have taken away, and all the fucking toys they made of Baby Groot, and like they merchandised the shit out of Baby Groot. And then they turned him into a Baby Yoda for the Star Wars, and they did that thing down there. I don't want to take away from the second movie's impact on that. I think third one, he was a young man, maybe an older kid, and then we get Alpha Groot at the end. Alpha Groot looked pretty cool, But
that's not him.
Right. Really? Exactly. He gets to say, I love you guys. And that
which is a new for us. That's new for us.
Yeah.
That's what, like, as soon as he said that during the movie, I'm like, fuck. How are we gonna rank this? Like, do we put more stock in the fact that he gets to read a different line that he didn't probably decide that? It was probably in the script.
The impact of it was very significant, though. I feel like...
And he delivered on the impact, because he could have said,
yeah,
I love you guys. You could have said that. You know what I mean? It would have been the same delivery. But he said, I love you guys. See the difference there? Like, that's the level,
and
obviously
if you
he's an actor,
remember, because, he is not the Groot from the first movie. That was, his father, so to speak. You know what I mean? He's the baby. He literally grew up with them. They are his family. He has no before. You know what I mean?
Damn, he really should have said family, though. I think that would have been fucking hilarious, dude.
I wonder
there was
some executive that said, no, you cannot have him say family.
You think they were going to do that?
I don't know. I'm just
I
saying.
think it would have
someone
changed
executive
the
would have said no.
impact. It would have changed the impact for sure, but it would have been fucking hilarious to be like, he's just the family guy. So, like, family guy. Let's do a reboot with Vin Diesel as Peter. See how that works. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's so hard to rank this. Lois.
Vin Diesel would beat the shit out of that chicken man, though.
Oh yeah,
he wouldn't give it a fair fight. I'm torn on whether or not I feel like
I don't even know where to put this.
Any spot in particular. The ice is melting in that bucket. It made a shifting sound. I don't think I can, in good conscience, put it above the first movie, but I think
he had more lines in there. I feel like the way he said "I'm Groot" in so many different ways was good. We do know he did, at least in the first one, some mocap, right?
Oh, yeah, he walked around on stilts.
He definitely
maybe
doesn't
at least for his own pleasure.
Ones.
If not, he mocapped it. But Yeah.
I say let's put it below that one for sure. But then their question is, do we have to put it with the other Guardian films? Like, do we want to put it below, like, I'm not saying to do this, but like, could we put it under Iron Giant? You know what I mean? Like, do we have to?
No, we don't need
I feel
to
like
keep them together.
we tend to group them because
they're just so similar. I feel like that's the easiest part.
Like we have it Infinity War and then the holiday special because I think he has 2 lines.
We have we have holiday.
I feel like he has to be above those
Endgame is
because they had
lower.
1 line.
Yeah, he's above. Like it is above all of them, leading into the first 2 Guardians movie easily. So yeah, it's even above I Am Groot over here.
And Boiler Room was we get that long monologue, right? That was like his first big monologue. Remember at the phone?
Yeah,
that's a
but
classic.
He says
right
I
there.
Am Groot a bunch.
Not a bunch. He says like 5 times and then says I love you guys. But do we think that's better than Volume 2? I think let's work our way down. Let's start there and then. So it's not better than the first one. Is it better than Volume 2? Where I don't.
James
I feel like
Gunn
yes,
low-capped
maybe
the dancing that Groot does in the beginning. That was not Vin Diesel. Because if that was Vin Diesel, then that is up higher.
Right.
For this third one, I'm torn. I'm putting it above the second one. I don't know.
It really comes down to that. I love you guys. Like, how much are we willing to put that? Like, is that better than? Like,
I will say this:
everything in the second one.
Granted, our opinions are definitely skewed because we're running a Vin Diesel podcast. Right. But when that moment happened, his career flashed in my eyes, in my head, and in my heart. You know what I mean?
He's talking to us. Actually, we got to remember that.
Like, I thought of more than just the movie at that time, so that was a pretty big deal. Now, granted, it is just one damn line. You know what I mean?
Right. That's been always our issue with the Groot stuff. It's one damn line said in a couple different ways to mean a couple different things, but
and it's hard to really put the weight on what the character does because
he should have got the one F-bomb.
Is not doing it. That would have been funny.
That was great, by the way. I forgot to mention that. That was one of my favorite. Was that it's the first F-bomb in a Marvel movie, I think.
Probably. Yeah.
I did not expect it because, like, I forget you can do one in the PG-13, right? So
yeah,
so funny we have these like arbitrary rules for like ratings where it's like if you swear,
hey,
it could be the same
people
movie,
push it and push it and push it. You know what I mean?
But I'm saying it's just funny that like it's like let's say nothing else changed in the movie besides they added like one more F-bomb. They're like, fuck it, it's rated R. Like it's just crazy to me. Be like nothing else has changed. They're like. Pierre Quill says 2 F-bombs. Groot says fuck.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you really certain that you want to have it
put
below
it at
Volume 2?
Let's put it above Volume 2 just because I just want to pretend that he said it to us. Saying, I love you guys. Ethan and Devin is the full line. Is what they cut that. They had to shorten it because, runtime was already getting kind of long.
Perfect. Okay.
And we have to do the right rankings, which I totally forgot about until I scrolled over.
Yeah, well, it's very easy. We just add the point value of 2 plus 21 equals 23. This is
time with Riddick.
Below other 2 Guardians movies.
Weird how that worked out.
Remember, like, our ranking thing put Awakenings, which is a beautiful and fantastic movie, at 62 points. Because Vin Diesel was just barely in it.
Yeah, I remember this ranking, the overall ranking is basically like if you want a good movie, if you want a great movie that also is great because of Vin Diesel, then XXX is your film.
Right.
That's use that chart as like I want to watch a film or go down to the bottom of the list potentially and you can watch either a bad movie or some of them might be good, but not because of Vin Diesel. So it's like, it's just really funny how this list works. But I think this list mostly works in the top 5. I feel like
should I
top
read
5?
Off this
you can
list?
go no wrong.
You know what? You read the damn list.
Okay, I'll be the
give
overall.
the point value.
All right, so here's the overall list. If you're combining rankings. So like I said, I feel like these top 5 here, you can't go wrong. You're gonna watch some solid films. I won't even say solid, great films or good films with great Vin Diesel performances. All right, you're getting all the Vin in these top 5, but I'm gonna read all of them here for you. So the first one's Triple X, second one The Fast and the Furious, third Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Triple X Return of Xander Cage, Furious 7. I stopped counting the exact ones because I know I'm gonna miss say it. So
yeah,
because it's 22. Guardians
so
of the Galaxy.
Easy, is it?
Well, there's different numbers on the left.
Guardians of the
Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Riddick. F9, The Fast Saga. The Fate of the Furious. Find Me Guilty. A Man Apart. Bloodshot. Saving Private Ryan. The Iron Giant. The Last Witch Hunter. The Chronicles of Riddick. Avengers. Infinity War. Boiler Room. Avengers Endgame. Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. The Pacifier. Pitch Black. Babylon. A.D. Los Bandoleros. Ralph Breaks the Internet. Knock Around Guys. The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Vin Diesel. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Awakenings. Thor. Love and Thunder. Multifacial. Fast and Furious Crossroads. The Chronicles of Riddick. Dark Fury. Strays. I Am Groot. Wheelman. The Chronicles of Riddick. Assault on Dark Athena. The Chronicles of Riddick. Escape from Butcher Bay. Wiz Khalifa featuring, that's right, Charlie Puth, See You Again. Fast and Furious, Supercharged. And of course, Riddick Blindsided. And you can get this full set on CD for $19.95 if you call now.
It's going to be so expensive. You'd see like those commercials for like, the complete series on DVD, and it's like $80.
But it's limited edition or something like.
Yeah.
There's a special cover for it or something like that.
Right.
Or signed by the director, or if it's an album, it's we've only have 100 of these pressed. You can get it now.
Wow. Okay, well then. Sure. Yeah. I find it funny that for the overall thing, and remember, like, we add the position of the movie on both lists, combine that, and then that's its score, essentially. So, like golf, lowest score wins, right? I find it funny that, like, we have 3 things tied for last with 87 points.
It's so bad.
Oh, you know what? No, some of these change now. Because we have a new number 2, which means our old number 2 is now number 3. Which means that Guardians of the Galaxy number 1 is 23 points.
You'll have to do...
I'm going to do this after the episode, and we'll be set for the next one.
Fuck, I didn't think about that, huh?
Yeah.
That it changes
a little bit. Like, everything below Guardians of the Galaxy on both lists is you add 2 points to everything that's below the movie on both lists. And you basically everything that's below on just one list.
There's got to be an Excel way to like quickly do the math, so every time you change it, it would do that.
Honestly, it's easier for me just to do it myself instead of trying to figure out how. Because you'd have to like tie 2 cells together as you know what I mean? Whatever. That's our thing. This is generally how it goes. I probably shouldn't screen. So technically, Guardians 2. Wait, 22 plus 1 is 23. They are all 23. They are all tied. They all have 23 points. So they are all the same. So just check that out. They are all equal, which is crazy. Now, granted, they're all next to each other.
Honestly, that's a good compromise. So. It doesn't matter if they're all equal on the overall score. Then that's one way to say they're just all great. Yeah,
exactly. They're all Groot.
They're all Groot.
We're going to see you next week for another episode of the Sonic Movie Show, which is our other podcast. And then the week after, it should be Fast X, otherwise known as Fast 10. I'm excited.
That's right.
Exactly. The beginning of the end begins again. Yes. Well, thank you guys for watching.
We're got to do what we've been doing, and the time to do it is now, or whatever.
God, she should definitely be the villain of the last one.
Oh, that'd be... Oh, yeah, that'd be kind of funny. They should do that. They just splice in like footage from her, like they don't even do it without her consent. They just splice it in.
You're a public figure. We get to do this. You know what else we get to do? Demand that you follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
while you can, in case they ever go away.
Someone
Two
else
of those
that I forgot of. At Sonic Movie Show is our title. We're also on YouTube at Sonic Movie Show with the Sonic Movie Show, the main podcast that we do. Video game movie reviews, Sonic News, Movie News, and Sonic Movie News. Just fun things that we talk about if we don't have any 4 of those things on the docket. This episode of the Chronicles of Diesel kind of took the place of the Sonic Movie Show episode in our weekly docket. So hopefully you stick around and you watch more. Yeah, like, subscribe, write down in the comments below.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell. I haven't hit any bells on YouTube, but hit ours for me, please.
It doesn't do it on default, which is weird. Do you think they would just? I guess they don't want to incentivize. I guess
I don't even have my iPhone allow YouTube to send me notifications. So even if I hit the bell, I wouldn't get the notifications.
I get them for like if someone's doing like a live stream I'm subscribed for, but yeah, not for new.
Maybe you can tier it, I don't know.
But hey, if you're a subscriber to YouTube and we ever do live streams, then we've done 2.
Yes, we do those. We've done a couple. We might do more in the future. It's tough. We have to really
we're going to live stream all of Fast X live from the theater.
Yeah, from our phones. But let us know what you thought about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 in the comments below or on Twitter at Sonic Movie Show. Follow me on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely. I don't tweet much. I retweet a lot of people, so hopefully you agree with my opinions. Follow Devin on Twitter at CursonaFun. Let him know what you think about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Are we correct in saying that this is the middle of the 3 movies? Are we correct on saying it's better than I Am Groot, the holiday special, Thor: Love and Thunder?
We need someone out there to be like, I Am Groot was pinnacle. Was the magnum opus of Guardians.
Y'all do a Vin Diesel podcast and you put I Am Groot that low. It's his show. It was him.
He was in the studio for hours in that one. Come on.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you think. Follow us on Twitter. We'll see you next week. If I can find my mouse. Goodbye.
Au revoir.
What is it with you? What do you got, a death wish or something?
That's what it takes. I just want to race. Ride or die, remember?